Most people understand joy conceptually. It's actually something that when I was naming the podcast and I was thinking, like, this is what I want to bring to the world. I'm like, how the hell do you describe this? How many ways can you say frequency? Can you say emotion? Can you say joy? We're going to find out, I guess. But it's hard to describe it because each of us is going to conceptualize it differently depending on our background, like depending on where we came from and what our upbringing was. Welcome to Intuition, Your Joy Compass. This is the podcast where intuition gets embodied and joy leads the way. This is where we integrate your humanness and your soul. They don't have to compete and they don't have to work against each other. Your soul comes in with joy. Your human self wants to learn joy. It just makes sense to merge them. I'm Vicki Baird, your intuitive guide, and also your wisdom-led mindset coach. And I want to bring the truth that you do not have to transcend your human experience to feel lit up and to feel aligned. You need to integrate it. And that is what we will do here. Hi, thank you for joining me for this episode. I am so grateful you are here. And because I appreciate you, but also this world needs more joy. And the most of us, when there are more of us that are creating this joy and intentionally living in this way, it's just going to go out exponentially. I truly believe that with everything of my being. And actually, that helps me to show up in joy sometimes when I don't feel like it, when I'm feeling like a cranky pants, because I know that energy goes out and it becomes exponentially greater. And I want more and more and more of that in the world, not just for myself, but for everybody who's out there. So this episode, we are talking about how joy actually works in real life and where you may get confused, stymied, even stuck. Most people understand joy conceptually. It's actually something that when I was naming the podcast and I was thinking, like, this is what I want to bring to the world. I'm like, how the hell do you describe this? How many ways can you say frequency? Can you say emotion? Can you say joy? We're going to find out, I guess. But it's hard to describe it because each of us is going to conceptualize it differently depending on our background, like depending on where we came from and what our upbringing was. I know for myself, it's been a confusing ride because as tumultuous as my home life was growing up and as scary as it could be, like my parents were very funny people. And when they were in that space of relaxation and joy, they were absolutely delightful to be with, which is what made it really confusing about how to navigate being a human on this plane. So conceptualizing it, that's, you know what? You're going to have to do that for yourself. I can't do that for you. I can help you to connect with your joy and to even figure out what that frequency may mean to you, but to help you live it or experience it, I can't do that for you. But what I do know is often people have a hard time understanding what it is, and where you may get stuck is a random Tuesday afternoon. It's not that joy disappears. It can lessen, and it will lessen, absolutely, in moments of crisis, but also in normal life. Like when the dishes need to be done and the kids are crying and you forgot to pick up supplies for the project that's due tomorrow and you can't even remember which sport your kid plays or what the meeting is about tomorrow, and you're just absolutely desperate for a workout, but there's no space to put it in your schedule today. Like, that's when joy can disappear. That's normal life. So many times I wanna say to people, and I actually have said this a few times, but you have to be really careful about when you say it and how you say it, is when people are describing what's going on in their life, and I'll say, "So you're telling me life is lifing, like, this is life." I don't know where, maybe it's social media, but we got the message that It should always be Instagram perfect and beautifully clean and joyous all the way around. That's not consistent, it's not healthy, and I'll get into a little bit of that later, but joy can disappear, it can go into hiding in everyday life, in random occurrences of getting home and realizing that you never took something out to thaw. Guess what Vicky just realized? She carried in the groceries and she never put them away, and there was something for the freezer in there. Huh. Well, I am not gonna let that steal my joy. It just became that we're having fish for dinner. Oh, sometimes I'm fun to watch. Sometimes what will happen is that the judge will show up. And in that moment, it could have. And not going to lie, there was a moment where when I realized that and I had the image of the fish, thankfully it's 30 degrees in my garage, so it probably is still frozen, but my judge wanted to show up and wanted to say, "See, you got so distracted when you came in. Listen, I drink a lot of water. There's something important to happen when you first get home." But it didn't. I felt the little flicker of it, and then I was like, "No, this is something funny. This is not no one's in danger unless I don't put the fish in the fridge. That could be a problem. But this is being human. This is part of having a busy life and having, excited dogs that meet you at the door and you get distracted. There's nothing wrong with that. But knowing that means that I also know that my joy hasn't disappeared forever. I mean, I hope you could hear in my laugh that I really do find it funny that I forgot to bring it in. And tonight we are having air fried fish nuggets, my newest obsession. So joy can break down in everyday life. Happiness can break down in everyday life. It takes courage. It does take some stamina. I will admit that. It takes some focus, and it takes an intention to love oneself when committing to raising your frequency and to raising your joy factor of life. Like, honestly, you can feel completely peaceful, and then you check your email and you're like, what the actual, you know what? Or you have a great morning, and then one comment knocks you sideways, your saboteurs get involved, and you're spinning out. And maybe you don't remember that it's something as simple as taking a breath or rubbing your fingers together, getting in your body. Maybe you don't remember in that moment that it's available to you. And you may be feeling absolutely content, in love with the life that you have in the moment. And then that annoying little aspect of your subconscious called guilt creeps in because someone else is struggling. It is part of an empathic response, but it's also pretty condescending to think that your life is that important, that if you're happy, that someone else's sadness is somehow bigger. It's not. It's not. Our joy, our happiness, our love of life, it doesn't vanish. It just gets interrupted. It gets absolutely interrupted by interpretation as well, by perception, right? 6 months ago, if I had forgotten that I didn't carry the fish in, I would have been all over myself for the fact that fish is expensive, and it's our primary source of protein in this house, and that, "Oh, I screwed that up, and now somebody's gonna get botulism or something." That would have been my interpretation a year ago. It wasn't 6 months ago. A year ago, that would have been my interpretation. But now my brain has become so conditioned by the neural pathway work that I do in the positive intelligence that my brain might still scan for a threat in all of this, but it didn't find one. And essentially what we want it to do, because your brain is so wonderful, it's so beautiful in that it is designed to scan for threats. It is designed to scan for that. It is not designed to preserve your joy. That goes way at the end of a life need when you're living in the wild and in caves and trying to survive. And we still have our cave person's brain. So when you recognize that, maybe you'll be less hard on yourself if your brain automatically goes to a fearful situation or the negative side to things. I often say to Mike, it's okay that your brain does that, but you are responsible for your second thought. If your first thought is that can't possibly work, which is often his default, his second thought is now, why am I questioning that? Let me be curious. Could it possibly work? Because that would be really cool. And now I joke with him that, yes, the inventors and the engineers and all the people who came up with this and tested it before it got to production absolutely knew that Michael Coleman didn't believe in it, so it can't work, and this is just something to mess with your head. See, if you have fun with it, you're more likely to be in joy and less to be in a scanning for threat. But just hear me when I say that your beautiful, beautiful brain is wired to look for that threat. It's wired to keep you safe. And thank goodness, right? It's why you look a third time before pulling out of a street, or why you look over your shoulder. I'm sorry to say, but as a woman walking in public, why you look over your shoulder. It's wired that way. It's beautiful. We just don't want it to be dependent and even addicted to that. A lot of the times I hear people waiting for conditions to improve before they can experience some joy. And in a session, I will stop it right on a dime and say, wait a minute, we're not moving too quickly here. We want to squeeze every little bit of joy out of this. And I'm not fluffing people's skirts. It has to be something that they something that they did or said or grew or learned about themselves that they just kind of brush over. And I'm like, no, 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 we are going back and we are getting that and we're going to celebrate it. Because a lot of the times we wait to have that joy or that celebration until whatever this false reality of I'll relax once things calm down. I'll tell you what, things calm down when you relax. It's not the other way around. If you're waiting for things to calm down in your life, or I'll get to that when I retire, let me be very blunt with you. Many people don't get to retire. And if you're going to put off joy for Saturday rather than in this moment when you just poured the most perfect pancake, you better be doing a happy dance around that. And oftentimes there's a tendency to celebrate later. And I don't know where this gets conditioned into us, but I have often believed that it's our schooling system that says, well, you could celebrate that once you graduate high school. Oh, once you graduate college. Oh, when you have that next degree, right? And it's not true. It's not true. You get to enjoy this now. If you wait till everything's handled, you're going to wait till you croak, because the truth of life is that not everything's going to be handled. Not everything's going to be done. Goodness gracious, there's always laundry, and what a beautiful thing that is. So joy doesn't want to wait for a resolution. It lives alongside unfinished laundry. It lives alongside uncertainty. It lives very collaboratively with unknowing. It'll even lend you a little bit of courage if you lean into it a little bit. So a little bit ago, I said something about feeling good about your life or really enjoying it, and then thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, or when's the other shoe gonna drop? People are suffering. I I have everything I've ever wanted. Now what? I can't enjoy my success, someone else is struggling. Well, your role is not to ease anyone of their struggle. If we don't struggle, we don't grow. And at some point, this idea of struggle also became some kind of an award for some people that if I'm not struggling, where is the value in my life? And is there even joy to be had? So I'll just keep putting it off. And yes, I understand the the realities of depression or a destabilized mood. I'm not talking psychological process here. What I'm talking, well, I guess I am in some ways, but I'm not a therapist. What I'm asking is that the next time your brain or your heart says that I can't celebrate or I can't enjoy my success because my sister is struggling with her marriage, you absolutely can, because you can recognize that that's a saboteur assessment, and perhaps your pleaser believes joy is selfishness, that there is a that there is a finite amount of success or joy in the world, and if you take your share, she's never gonna have some. Your sage, your wisdom, knows that not only is joy very stabilizing, it is also contagious. When we are absolutely lit up with what we are doing or what we have seen or the playfulness that's available in the world, when we're lit up by that, we have mirror neurons that will transmit that to other people. And I think it's part of our obligation as a human to do that, to transmit as much joy as possible. And your wisdom side, your soul side absolutely knows that. And this isn't about putting, your joy or your happiness in somebody's face if they've just delivered news. I have someone in my life that the minute I say something, she has got an equal and better response to that. So if I said, "Oh, yeah, I was feeling a little bit under the weather right now, doing a parasite cleanse." You guys ever do one of those? Oh, I have to say, I'm grateful. I can feel the shifts, and I love the formula because it tastes really good to me. But yeah, we're having some die off, and I'm feeling a bit great. And yet I know that there's clarity on the other side of it. Well, I shared that with this person in my life, and she went next level, right? Like, she had to talk about a cleanse she did, I think it was in the '80s. There's no reason for me to diminish the joy I feel towards myself and the pride I feel in myself for taking this next level adventure in my health. So, years ago, yeah, it probably would have annoyed me. Now, I recognize that my happiness, my success, she can stay miserable in the fact that she believes she's got a heavy load. Well, then do something about it, my friend. But I don't have to take it personally. And I know that my joy in even laughing about the fact that I have to set an alarm, so which is going to go off in about 10 minutes here, to take one of the supplements. That's fun for me. That's a system, and I love systems. So, her struggle and her habit of needing to suffer more than the person she's talking to, well, that's hers. That's not for me to fix or to carry or to do anything about, except I think to radiate the joy I feel in my life unapologetically. But one thing I will not do is turn joy into a job, because this can get tricky and it can take the fun out of it. Oh my goodness. It's kind of like when people have a hobby and then someone says, "That's so beautiful, you should get paid for that." And then they turn it into work and it takes the joy away from it. It's one of the reasons I took one commission in needle felting. And well, it wasn't I didn't get paid, so it wasn't a commission. I took one request and made for someone else. My commitment to myself to keep the joy in needle felting is I only give them as gifts, and they're random, and sometimes I'm on a roll, and sometimes I don't do it for months, and it would turn it into it did get too stressful to me. So, my commitment to myself is I am not going to track my mood in every moment. I there is no need to do that. This is not an Apple Watch or an Aura Ring or whatever else is out there right now. Not happening. Not happening because that is one surefire way to take happiness and joy and feeling lit up about your life out of it is make it a job or a spreadsheet or some kind of data input and output. I'm not going to judge myself for not feeling joyful enough because there are challenging situations in my life that come up without announcement. Like I can have a grief day around my late husband. I can miss my parents. I can miss friends who live in other states that I don't get to see. And I can have my moments, and I will allow myself to have my moments now because for so long my emotions were shut down or dependent on what someone else was feeling. And the commitment that I make to my clients is to be in integrity, to be aligned and know myself so well that when I show up for you, I can be of service. So, no way am I judging myself for not feeling joyful not enough. A few years into our relationship, I had an off day, and my was like, I didn't know Vicky Baird had an off day. He often uses my last name. And I'm like, I'm human. Like, I'm evolving, I'm processing things. I don't get a magic wand because I've been coaching for 25 years. I actually think that sometimes that leaves me to deep, deep, deep emotions that don't process quickly. So, therefore, one of the things I really had to learn was to not maintain, you could put little quotes around that if you want, maintain joy. And this was hard for me because I was very much raised to keep the peace in our house, to be the comedic relief, to be the solution bringer. And I'm grateful for some of that. And it also taught me to mask so much that no one would ever know unless they were really paying attention. But very few people in my life have ever paid attention enough to say, geez, you all right under there? So grateful for the ones that poke me and insist on asking that question. Thank you, Sue White. But trying to maintain joy just makes it another aspect of a job. And the minute it becomes a performance, your central nervous system will just tighten up. And that's I think, fake it to make it, right? Like, you can tell when someone's faking it. And that, yes, I know there are times we have to show up and we have to present, and that's okay because sometimes a distraction is a good thing. But what I've decided to do is that while joy technically is my job to help bring others to the joy in their life, when it comes to my own experience or evolution, it will not be faked. And I'm learning, and this is an important phrase that you can use. I am learning how to express when I'm not feeling joy and have that be okay, or when I'm not feeling like I want to talk or that I want to be in the presence of someone. And that's okay too. But I will say is still in process. Working on that. The hyperachiever in me just wants to give the appearance that life is always wonderful, and it can't be. Oh, didn't I tell you there'd be an alarm go off to take my supplement? That'll have to wait till I'm done. There's no editing going on here. So, to the point of masking or taking it on, that's an empathic reaction. And for those of you, everyone's a psychic sponge. Every one of us is. And you learn the level of absorbency that you are. And one of the things that I find fascinating to do is to be around people and watch their energy shift. There'll be people who are chameleons, their energy will absolutely shift with the person in the room, with the mood in the room, and then there are those of us that it can look like I don't care because you're going into big drama or explaining how something could be so hard, and I just have this kind of flat look on my face. I know it's a flat look. I know I can feel it, but it's conscious for me not to join in letting someone else set my emotional tone. So they don't get to set the radio frequency for how I feel anymore, because if you grew up in a house where you had to take the temperature constantly, you'll know what I'm talking about. You learn to adjust your own frequency and your own happiness and your mood for the sake of those around us, and it's hard. So one of the ways that this may show up for you is you're fine until someone else isn't. Like, you feel good, you're having a good day until someone else isn't, and then all of a sudden you're not. It's not that you're fickle, it's that you just got hijacked. Your saboteurs got hijacked, and they joined up, and they're like, "Let's ride. Let's go be miserable too," because it does love company, and that's because of the mirror neurons in the brain, but it's not necessary, and yet it takes an awareness about your intuitive self and how energy can be contagious and well, can be. It is contagious. And then, I don't know, do you shrink? Do you shush? Do you not say anything? Do you turn your light down to keep the peace? I have a I have a friend who has the best stims you can ever imagine. I call one of them taking flight. Like, when she starts to take flight, I know something really good is happening because it tends to happen about a minute or 2 before I get to hear what she's telling me is so exciting. So, it's like the coming attractions. So when she starts to stim, I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be good, I can't wait." And I don't say anything because that's rude, but it took me a little bit to realize that that's what was happening. And now, I like she has to dim herself. She doesn't have to. She has learned to dim herself around family members. And I was like, well, this soul girl is not, this soul family, this soul sister is not going to participate in that. She's probably listening to this and I'm giving away my secret, but that's okay. Love you too. Because our joy or our happiness, even our stimming, doesn't require consensus. You don't need permission from someone else to be living your joy. It takes courage, of course it does, and it takes practice, but it doesn't require someone else's permission. And that's so freeing. Like, can you feel how freeing that is to be who you are wherever you are? It's so much less work. And you know what? Those who don't like it will see themselves out. They will absolutely see themselves out. Or perhaps they'll see an opportunity to examine where in their life their joy is. So and joy isn't high energy. And I hope that's a big relief for you right now because you're probably thinking, I cannot do one more thing, Vicky. I cannot take on one more thing. And you're asking me to take on joy, which seems like a big carry. It's not. I promise you, it's not. It's actually taking yourself too simple. And that's where joy lives, is in simplicity. It's sitting quietly without scrolling. It's saying no and not explaining. It's feeling neutral and being okay with it. That one's admittedly was hard for me because I was like, well, I have all these skills. Shouldn't I be helping every person I come in contact with? And then I made myself laugh one day because I was like, Vicky, do you think your gynecologist is walking through the grocery store picturing everybody's hoo-ha? Probably not. Probably not. So you can feel neutral about someone else's turmoil or about their indecision in life and not feel like you have to be the bringer of suggestions or ideas or connections. Feel neutral and be okay with it. Mike asked me about something the other day. He's like, "What's your opinion on this?" And I paused, and he thought I didn't hear him, but I was actually searching my body and my brain, and I'm like, "I don't have an opinion. I am so neutral in this." And he looked and he's like, Well, you have to have an opinion." I said, "I don't think I do." I actually that's how this line got into this podcast. I said, I actually don't think I do. I think I can not have an opinion on that and be perfectly okay with it. It doesn't impact my life. It doesn't impact your life. It doesn't hurt anybody. I can be neutral. I'm neutral. So it's a place that I have worked hard, and I don't want you to work hard to get to. So in your moments, take these moments of sitting quietly. Go to bed without replaying the day. When your brain starts to replay the day, go, "No, we've already lived it. Thank you very much. Off to Nightland. I appreciate you showing up. Not gonna replay it. Not doing it." Because calm is a space, it's a way of being, but it's also a form of joy that we just don't celebrate enough. A calm should be celebrated. One of my favorite experiences is when I'm working with a horse that's a little uptight. I have several that are high energy, and I'll just stand there with them. Because did you know that a horse can feel your heartbeat from 5 feet away? It can feel your electrical field from 5 feet away. So that means if I'm going to be in I'm going to be in a horse's field, I better make sure my field is calm because that's the gift I wanna give them. And one of the best feelings in the world, it truly is when this great big 1,000-pound animal goes and takes that deep breath. Oh, it just melts my heart. It's so hard not to get excited about it, but that's the place of calm. That's the practice of calm. I'm so grateful to them to give me an opportunity and a space to practice that calm because I know it's actually cemented it in my system. But I will do that, and I'll do that often. And one of the horses, I was standing in her stall just looking at her. Her name is Precious, and she really is. And I was looking at her, and I could tell she felt sad. She felt a little depressed even. And I just stood there, and regulated my breath, and I took a couple breaths. I wasn't touching her or anything. And I just kept thinking, calm, calm, calm. And she took her breath, lowered her head, and started chewing and moving her lips and sticking out her tongue, which can be a sign of stress, but it can also be a sign of relaxation. And I just stood there. And then she lifted her head like, "What do you want me to do?" And I'm like, "Nothing, honey. Nothing. I just wanted you to take a breath." And in doing that, I know I regulated my system too. And then I left. And then when I came back later, I gave her a little kiss on her nose. And I told her that she was just the most precious girl on the planet, like I tell her every time I see her. And then I walked away because calm is something we all deserve. The animals, Mother Nature, you. It's something that you might have to shop for. You might have to go looking for. And you may have to create in your own world. And I'm telling you right now, it's so worth it. So worth it. So, what if for right now, you allowed yourself to ask, what does calm look like for me? What would change if I allowed myself to feel calm? Because if you're waiting for things to be settled, they never will be until you create a space for you to feel settled. We're not abandoning ourselves anymore. We are not doing that anymore, my girl. We are staying in alignment by feeling calm and then by figuring out what our joy is. And then we'll put it into practice. So what do you say? Can we do that this week? Thank you. I appreciate you being here. I'm so grateful that you are figuring out how to feel calm, how to take up all the space you want to take up, and to have a wonderful nervous system. So how about once a day, just once a day, notice a moment of ease. Do not name it. Don't expand upon it. Just notice it and move on. Like Precious's little breath. Take a breath. Horse breath smells so good. Take a breath, let it out, and recognize that, oh, that was a moment of calm. I promise you, joy will follow. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Intuition, Your Joy Compass. I'm so grateful you are here, and I'd just like to leave you with what I would consider a listening agreement. By listening to this podcast, you agree to stay open, curious, and connected to your own intuition. You agree to take what resonates and throw out the rest into your body, into your breath, and into your lived experience. You agree to honor your humanity, trust your soul's voice, and let joy guide your next step. This is not passive listening, and this is not toxic positivity. This is conscious receiving. Thank you so much for being here.